Yes, Jordi Comstock, and occasionally I've had to actually practice pronouncing your name. Dale's like, it's not Comstock, it's Comstock. It's not
Yes,
Comstock.
it's
Stop
not.
saying Comstock.
No, you. It's just that you
Yeah,
got that from when that worn out case that had the top of the O mark like rubbed off, and it was
ooh,
like
did someone do that on purpose?
it was yeah, and we put it into two syllables as well, so that made it even worse. It was like yeah,
Yeah, I mean Comstock would work, but yeah, it's Comstock.
yeah.
So hi Jordi.
Hello.
Thanks for doing this.
No problem.
How are you, first of all?
Swamped with recording work, which is great because I love that. That's and working with
Yeah,
Dale a lot, which is like one of my favorite things. So it's been really cool.
but we love working with you. You are definitely one of our top go-tos for drummers. Tell the fine viewers where you live, where you're from, and where you live now.
I am from Lunenburg County area. My full family's like Lunenburg town. Like my uncles and aunts, they're all townies. And my parents live just outside of Lunenburg, and they actually have an optical shop in Lunenburg. And I have a house just between Lunenburg and Bridgewater. And so if anyone knows the area, it's like right in between those two places.
Are the drums your sole passion, or do you have other passions that we don't really hear about?
I'm pretty singular focused. I figure. I mean, I've got hobbies and things I like to do in my spare time. I grew up skateboarding. All my friends like we were musicians who skateboarded kind of thing. That's how I got
Yeah.
into my first. That was like I don't know if you were familiar with Mad Hatter, like the very first family band I was in when I was like really young. But
No.
that was oh well, Mad Hat. That was my brother was a family member that was in that. He's the lead singer and guitarist,
Kirk.
and yeah, you know Kirk. Uh, but yeah, I started playing in that band in school when I think I was like started playing together as a band with Phil Swicker, who you definitely know,
Definitely no Phil,
and
yes.
Huey Morris, who was the bass player, who both from Lunenburg, and we met them through like we were skateboarding that age as well. But I was already playing drums since I was about 5, and then I knew they
Oh,
played instruments as well. So when we were about like I don't know, maybe 9, 8, 9, we started to actually play music, my brother and myself together,
yeah.
met them. Then we started to go to Phil Swicker's house. And because he was right in Lunenburg, we'd go from the skate park up to his place and I had a drum kit there and we jam and start working on stuff. And then we started playing like festivals and things when I was 10. We did Strawberry Jam and some different things and school events. And then we started playing the Heritage Lounge in Lunenburg when I was
Nice.
like 11. My parents were guardians and they'd sign liquor licensing papers.
Yeah.
And at that point, we were able to play bars, and even in the city, like we used to play the Double Deuce and open for weird things and do those types of things. And but yeah, that was cool because they actually paid. They were cool because I'm sure as kids they probably could have gotten away with like just want to play, and we would have done it for free, but they paid us
Yeah.
actually pretty well at the time. And they like backstage area, we weren't allowed to stay in the club. We'd go to the backstage room and they give us chips pop or whatever. They treat us really well. It was really cool.
How old were you when you started teaching? And is where you're sitting right now, is that your where you well, is that where you
Yeah,
would have
this
taught or where you teach now?
this is yeah this is my like if I have to fly drum tracks out, I've treated the space so sonically it sounds good and I can record here if I need to
Yeah.
fly stuff out. And but I teach here and I practice here as my music all purpose music space. I started teaching really early. That was just by I never even thought about it until I had some kids in the area when that like because again I started playing in bands and we started to like we were one of the only like, in our direct area that did like original music and we're pretty active. Like we got in cahoots with Mark Costanza from Len and
Mhm.
he ran our No Records with Way Mason and those guys,
Mhm.
and we were doing pairing up with a lot of other bands. We were touring Ontario like really early, so
Mhm.
around that time I started and we were putting out records, and then I started getting people calling and asking if I could they wanted to get into it and could I teach them, and I had no experience and no idea how to approach it, but I was like, well, I don't know really how to do it, but I'll try it out. And then
Yeah.
and I did have some training. Like I always went for private lessons and knew theory and could read to a certain extent. So I
Okay.
And I was going for lessons always with like Roger Strange in Halifax and did the Halifax Conservatory. So I kind of knew what they taught me and how to approach it to a certain extent. So I started
Yeah.
trying to do that in my area because there really wasn't a drum teacher directly in my area, I guess, at that time
Yep.
that I was aware of. So that's how that started. And then ever since
Okay.
I've been like, just kept doing it. And it was a good way to, for a kid to make money through summers and to, not have summer jobs and things.
Do you have this same approach for every student, or do you ask them like, what are your goals, and kind of try to just support them, like, or is a little of both, or
A little of both. Over the years, I've had students that have stayed on for years. So a lot of it would be, I'd get kids, and I still the same thing. I'd get kids that are starting from scratch. They can't read. They don't have the coordination developed at all. They don't know
mm,
anything about rudiment or any of that. So they really want to just start. They're enthusiastic. They love music and drums, but they don't know how to really start. So I'll start like I have a curriculum like where I have typed up lesson plans starting with like here's how you learn quarter notes and to make those into drum set beats, how to do the
mhm,
most basic rudiments. And then if you progress through that, then we move to the next sheet, which is a little further, incorporates eighth notes, makes it a little more complex, uh, and it keeps going. So like I have a curriculum that will go right from the beginning from scratch
yeah,
through to like really advanced, because some of those guys, like I say, stayed on for years. We got into conceptual things and some advanced meter things. So I have all that, but some people come in a where they just have a certain area they want to focus on, whereas like I want to learn how to play jazz, I want to
yeah.
learn samba or a certain style or rudimental playing things that I want to do, and I've got things that I can just start there and focus on and do that. So it's always different with everybody, but I can start from scratch and just kind of gradually progress into as advanced as they want to get, really. So
So, Jordy, tell us where, how people can get in touch with you, for online, virtual, or in-person drum lessons.
sure. Most of the people that book me now are doing Facebook Messenger. So
Okay.
Jordi Comstock, just go Facebook and look me up and send me a direct message, and that works great.
Easy. Okay.
I have a couple of students now, and one of them actually just a short while ago said to me that, "Oh, I'm so sorry that like I feel terrible. I haven't been working this hard enough. I haven't been getting ahead." But they have a busy lifestyle. They're not intending to be a professional. They
Mm,
just, and I said, well, what was the reason that you started doing the drumming thing in the first place? And it's like, well, it's really fun. I really enjoy it. It's
mm,
like, well, there's no pressure. That's it. You're
yeah.
serving that purpose. Just every time you sit down, do it because you were enjoying it, and look at it as a break from your everyday life. That it's an opportunity to do the fun thing you want to do, but don't never. In their case, especially, it's like, do you have a deadline to finish a project
Yeah.
or no? It's just then every time you sit down, just be look forward to drumming. Never try to put this thing on it that it's like it's a list of chores that I have to do. It's like, no, like it's
Yeah.
there for you to have that space where you're doing the thing you want to do and enjoy it. The thing with me is like I kind of get like similar thing. Like I want to do something. I do things to extremes,
Yeah.
uh, and that's why I've had to scale back the coffee. But
I've heard
the
about
whole
that.
thing with I've done it. I feel a lot better.
Congratulations. Wow.
Thank
Yeah.
you. But the thing is too is like you said, if you're doing drumming, you don't have to go into it thinking like I want to be Vinny Colaiuta or like do the craziest stuff. And
Yeah.
but the thing that you get that's different from I think working on a different instrument is your perspective, and the things you'll have to work on will help serve you in your other things.
Yeah.
Like if you're drumming a lot of stuff, like I remember that one time we hung out at one of the ECMAs, I think it was Charlottetown, and you were interested in like the rudimental things, and I had the practice pad, and
Yep.
you picked up on that right away. And the thing that's cool about that stuff is if you're getting the drumming, it's more focused on subdivision awareness and timing and the little, you know what I mean? If you're working with a metronome trying to do rudimental things and working maybe different subdivided rhythms, you're going to
Yeah.
be much more in tune. When you go like maybe if you're playing guitar next time you're doing a songwriting thing, it might be like, oh, okay, it may not just be a straight A thing. Maybe I want to do this thing I played out of this exercise was like a
Mhm.
dotted eighth, 16th figure, and you get familiar with hearing other things that you may not have been exposed to.
These are just questions I found online for professional drummers, and you're one. So I figured I'd shoot them at you if I know what your answers
Sure.
are. Should I polish my cymbals?
Oh my God, no. Freak no, this is a different camp thing. This is like the whole polishing the cymbal thing is that if you like bright, shiny,
Okay.
I like Turkish hand hammered, warm. If I'm doing a pop thing, well, in jazz, any style of music, if I'm doing rock especially, I like the cymbals to sit and fill in the gaps of the drums, like the drums to be punchy and strong, and the cymbals to
Mm,
fill in the sonic space in that, not to be above it and like cutting. Because
yeah.
then you can't use your overheads if the cymbals like super bright and loud. It's like you
Yeah.
can't use your overhead. It's
I
just going to be
appreciate that.
and barely any drums, so it's
Yeah.
gross. But
Yeah.
yeah, if you have, I love the old school like Earl Palmer, Hal Blaine thing where you can put up one mic above the drums and you balance that. So what you're hearing is like you're balancing all the limbs, so it sounds like a record. And then if you turn that mic on, it's going to sound balanced, and everything else is just to touch it up and enhance it. Like that's my
Uh-huh.
so bright shiny cymbals, and yeah, it's not my thing. I like warm,
Okay.
that's
Don't
just the
polish.
flavor.
Do not polish your
And hey,
cymbals.
hey, you could, maybe it's great. The pasty flavor of cymbal is a great thing, can be really cool. But my personal preference is like Turkish warm
Yeah.
kind of big cymbals. I like 20s, 22s. I don't like small crashes that or splashes, that's type of thing. But
Okay. How do I stop my bass drum and hi-hat pedals from creeping?
yeah, well, all this stuff has spikes now. Like your bass drum is gonna have spurs. Your bass drum pedal is gonna have spikes that you can put
Mm-hmm.
out. And same thing with your hi-hat pedal. The thing is, I find some people, even with rugs and stuff, they still have to put bricks in front of bass drums. I find
Okay.
that to me, is a lot of time that's a technique thing. It's like if you're not doing the downward motion so much and you're actually angled a certain way, you're
Ah,
pushing, and
okay.
then you're not. And I find people that don't release the beater on the bass drum, if they're always like holding the beater to the head,
Mm-hmm.
it's like that they're pushing into it, so that does it too.
Okay.
But I usually never have a problem. I can pretty much set up on anything, and it's not going to really do that. But
Okay. Why should I put a hole in my bass drum head?
nice. Well, that is for, it depends on the style. If you're playing jazz, you wouldn't. You'd play kick wide open, no muffling, and not put a hole. If you're doing rock or anything you want a punchy, strong, focused tone,
Yeah.
the hole is going to allow you, well, for one, to put the muffling in, but also to get the microphone in, that it can be in a position to get the attack from the beater, that whole thing, and it's just a completely different sound. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Your secret to a low, boomy bass drum sound.
well, boomy and low, it could be tight, punchy and low, but just low tuning and the amount of muffling. Because
Okay.
if you want and the thing is too, sometimes if you want that Bonham thing, he did solid front heads. If you want a really big, you can play a giant bass drum, like a 26-inch, keep the front head solid, and that'll sound massive. So it's different thing. But yeah, it's mostly in tuning and how much muffling you use.
Thanks, Jordy. You
Okay.
ready to talk about Christmas?
Sure, totally.
You played on Kisses for Christmas.
Yeah.
Thank you. Do you
Oh,
hate Christmas songs? Do you hate playing on Christmas songs? Do
no.
you just
No, I love that stuff. Actually, I'm really
yeah.
nostalgic. I like the yeah, I my whole family are big time Christmas fans.
Oh yeah?
So
Okay.
yeah, yeah, and my some of my memories from when I was a kid, my mom and my dad, they had a pretty good vinyl collection, and I loved sitting in front of, like, they had a rec room downstairs where I had my drums and our music stuff, and I'd sit in front of the record player, and they had a good collection of like Bing Crosby and Nat King Cole and like the classic Christmas
Mhm.
album. I used to love that. My parents used to decorate downstairs
Yeah.
by my drum kit, put this right by my drums every Christmas. And then they eventually gave this. I was like, "Do you know where that is? I kind of love that thing." And then they gave it to me.
Any awesome like fights in the snow with your bro or uh favorite recipes or games? Do you play games at Christmas?
We used to do the board game thing when everybody's home for the holidays, and listen to music. And I'm trying to think of what my mom, like, my favorite stuff I used to get that was kind of special for Christmas. There was Kathy, who's a family friend of ours, always used to make me. When I was a kid, I used to love her apple pie. So she, like,
Mm.
every Christmas after, like, she knew that she'd give me one for Christmas. So like that was like
Aw.
my favorite Christmas kind of food thing.
Yeah.
But I used to love that. And yeah, we'd sit around, and usually somebody would get a board game for Christmas at some point, and we end up
Yeah.
playing whatever the taste of the year was. So it was like Operation, I think, was one of them, and
Oh
Monopoly,
yeah.
of course, and those different ones. We
It's a good
totally did
one.
that. Yeah.
So over the years, can you describe how traditions have maybe changed for you? Now you're a married man. Tell me
Yeah.
how Christmas has changed in recent years, and then we'll get to what are your predictions for this Christmas?
Yeah. Well, actually, it's funny because last Christmas Eve is when I proposed to Eva. So that
Oh,
was like, yeah, yeah. So that was pretty fun. And what I did there, it was I had her going for the leading up to it. I for like maybe a week before it, I
yeah.
kind of had it all figured out that I was going to do it and had it set up. And then I started complaining that my back hurt. So I was like, oh man, my back's been
Right.
bugging me like
I remember
crazy.
this. Yeah.
Like, oh man, I just don't know what it is. I must have done something, and it, I'm sure it'll go away. And then kept complaining, and then we go to every Christmas Eve. We go to the United Church with my family. We've done it since I was a kid, and do
Yeah.
the service, and I love that. Uh, which has a really cool musical component. They have like a whole bunch of people that do performances and songs, and it's really really cool. So we were getting ready and dressed up to do that. She was somewhere in the bedroom or something, getting ready and
Yeah.
getting dressed, and then I just screamed. I was like, "Oh, my back!" And
Damn.
I got down on one knee. It was like, "Oh," and played it like, and then she came running. And was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Oh, my back is terrible." And then I gave like did the
Oh,
breathing, and then she fell for it and got a laugh out of it.
that is so romantic and hilarious. That's I don't know if I could have pulled that one off. That's a good one. So this year Christmas for you for your family like won't be any different. You're going to get together and there's no like you guys are you not sure. Taking it are you like we're just taking it
well,
week by week?
we'll see. Yeah, waiting to see like again like the more cases in Nova Scotia is unfortunate to hear, but I'm hoping that stays, that it doesn't grow. But the one thing that's a little different this year is unfortunately my aunt on Maryland, my uncle Ronnie and Marilyn Wenzel. Marilyn's had health trouble, so
Oh,
right now she's unfortunately it's hard for her. They're in Spryfield, so
mhm.
they're in the city, so with them, they have to be really, really careful about anything, like
Yes.
going out at all. She
Yeah.
has no immune system, and so we haven't been able to see them really. They actually made it this summer. We got to do again since the COVID thing happened. I was home. I was supposed to be away, but we got to do the wedding.
Mm,
So we did it this summer, and they were able to make it for that. But that's kind of like I think the last thing they could travel for and do. So
yeah.
that was really cool. But they've every Christmas I can remember they've been they come to my parents' place and we do dinner
Yeah.
there and that sort of thing, but they're not going to be able to this year, so that's a little
Oh.
different.
Well, we
It's great,
wish
but
Marilyn strength and improved health. Yeah. I look forward to working with you again uh, in the new year. And well, I'll get to see you soon because you're coming here
that's
to
really
work on some other projects with Dale. And I haven't seen you in a while. And so I'm looking forward to that. But I am selfishly looking forward to working with you on my own songs in the new year
yeah.
sometime. And we wish you and Eva and your family a wonderful Christmas, happy holidays, and just yeah, keep keep doing what you love because you kick ass at it.
Oh, thanks, you too.
Bye, bye,
See ya.
Jordy.
Bye.